Hey guys, my name is Moose, and today I'll be going over how you should build your portfolio and tips and tricks to kind of helping you get an apprenticeship and building a strong portfolio. So before I go into detail on things, I want to give a bit of background. My name is Calvin. I'm originally from Philadelphia. I currently work in Iowa. I was actually just hired at a new shop as an apprentice. I've worked at a few shops in my 4 years of pursuing to become a tattoo artist. If you're interested at all in my full backstory and background, I could make a video on it. But for now, we could just say I'm more than qualified to talk about this stuff. You know, I've worked alongside like amazing artists, and I've met tons of great and insane artists. They kind of always give me good advice on getting an apprenticeship and things that they look for and things like that. So I'm kind of just taking all the info that I got from them and everything that I gathered and just kind of applying it and sharing it with you guys. So just in hopes that somebody gets an apprenticeship somewhere. So yeah, I've been racking my brain over how I'm actually going to be making this video, and I think the best way to get this information out there is to make some key points and show what works for me, and then kind of just touch base on a couple of those a little bit. So that's how I'm going to do things. This video is going to stick to the core of what's most important in getting an apprenticeship, and that's going to be your portfolio. In future videos, I'll talk about how to go into shops and how to approach shops and things like that. But for this one, we're going to stick strictly to building a good portfolio, and then we'll talk about the other stuff later. So let's start with the obvious, a presentation book. Now I know that a cheaper method would be to get a binder and use some sheet protectors or sheet sleeves, but honestly a regular size presentation book is extremely cheap, and if you are on a budget, then just pay attention to stores that sell them and wait for a day where they're having a sale or like a 50% off or 40% off type of thing, like Michael's or Hobby Lobby. They do that stuff all the time. Just pay attention to that, and then just go in and get one on those days. That way they're even cheaper. But I'm sure they're not too expensive, and pretty much anybody can grab at least an 8.5 by 11 presentation book. And then if you need to just print some stuff off and make a couple copies if your pieces are larger, then that's also really cheap too. Believe me, you want to have a nice looking presentation books, and it makes all the difference and shows that you put a lot of time and energy into making your portfolio and you didn't just slap something together. So just keep that in mind too. So next up, we're going to talk about the contents of the portfolio and how you should organize your pages. So the most obvious piece of advice in terms of content for your portfolio should be your best pieces only. I know that's pretty self-explanatory, but that just means extremely clean lines with drawings that you feel confident in showing, because the worst thing you could do is show a bad drawing and try to back it up with an excuse like I was experimenting and that's why it sucks, or I was just trying something new and that's why I did that. Because most shops don't care about that. They just want to see what's good first, and if they like what they see, then you can go from there. So just try to impress them at first and don't try to make excuses for anything. Keep everything clean and just show your best work. I'd say anywhere between 10 and 20 pieces that have variation and show versatility and style on what you can do. What I mean by that is show, some American traditional, some neo-traditional, maybe a bit of realism, maybe a bit of lettering and some tribal, just kind of things like that. And then also add a few of what I like to call U pieces. What I mean by U pieces is pieces of art that you feel would be considered your style or your favorite thing to draw, things that you really would like to tattoo someday. What the owner of the shop will be looking for the most is clean lines, smooth shading, and nice saturated color that just knows it. It just lets them know that you have a good understanding of how to design a tattoo and things like that. So make sure that that's what you have in your portfolio. Also, maybe add a few black and gray pieces that show you can work in that style. If that's not really your thing, then you don't have to, but it does help. My portfolio had no black and gray pieces or realistic pieces because I know that's my weak point, and I didn't want them to see that and then second guess giving me a shot, So a nice bonus tip would be to organize your pieces according by style and have your and have your absolute best at the start and at the end, with the weaker pieces sort of in the center. The reason behind that is that you want to wow them and make them want to continue flipping through your book, and in the last couple pages you want to leave a lasting impression. I would also recommend doing some flash sheets if possible. If you already have like some flash designs, I would recommend redoing them all on one sheet and making it like a flash page. I know that this is gonna require you to redraw some stuff, but at the same time, as you're redrawing it, you can make the lines cleaner or make the shading smoother or something like that, and just make it really nice and presentable. I know not a lot of people are going to want to draw things over again, but honestly, as an apprentice, you're going to be redrawing things, thousands of times. And in later videos, I'll show like some of the assignments I had to do as an apprentice and things that you guys will have to look forward to whenever you become an apprentice. And you'll see that it's just really repetitive. So just might as well get used to it now. And if you feel like your drawings are not as good as they should be, just go ahead and redraw them and make them look extra nice for the portfolio. Remember that presentation is key. Aside from the portfolio, if you are meeting up with somebody at a certain point or time, if you're just walking in and going to all the shops near you on like some kind of crazy shop marathon, then I definitely suggest dressing nicely and looking presentable. Make sure that your portfolio is clean and isn't filled with stickers or any crazy thing on the front. And remember that essentially a tattoo apprenticeship is a job, and you want to give a good first impression, and just think of it as kind of like a job interview. So you definitely want to just look nice and look clean and don't look crazy, because most people would just kind of look at you and just think that you're some kind of scratcher, or you're just another annoying kid that thinks they can make it as a tattoo artist. So just make sure that if you're serious about it, just look like you're serious about it. I did want to add this section as like a last bit of advice. Definitely, I really didn't want to go into this, but I feel like it kind of needs to be said. It is a big issue in the tattooing industry, and if you're going to be a part of it, or if you're thinking about joining the tattooing industry, then you need to understand this at the beginning stages so that you don't do it going into your career. I would say definitely do not, under any circumstances, steal any artwork from anybody. If you're referencing somebody, that's cool, but just make a note of who you used as a reference and things like that. If you didn't draw it, don't claim it to be yours, because if you go to the wrong owner, and let's say like that person knows who actually drew the original piece, you could get a really bad rep, and you'll be labeled as a thief. And tattoo artists talk to each other, and you definitely don't want that at the start of your career. You could be doing a Teresa Sharp piece that you saw online, and somebody would be like, I actually know Teresa Sharp. I was there when she did that for me. Or we have a print of that hung up right there. It's happened before. I've seen it happen to people at shops that I've worked at, where people will come in and we will literally have the original or the print like hung up at our shop. And the guy's like, oh, I drew this from my head, So definitely don't be one of those people. And I know that everything is derived from something, and I understand that, but I'm talking about just like flat out copying. If you use, for example, Mike Chambers as an apprentice for an American traditional design, make a note of it and say like inspired by Mike Chambers or referenced by Mike Chambers. Same goes for any style and any artist. Don't just go on Google and steal stuff to fill up your portfolio, because that's unfair to you, and it's really just wrong and unfair to the person that actually drew that. So if you can't draw it, just make sure that you're not cheating yourself and trying to trick people into giving you a portfolio. Because another reason would be like if your portfolio is full of stolen artwork that's just amazing, and you do get the job, and then they start telling you to draw things in front of them, because that will most likely happen. You'll have to draw things in front of them, and your drawings don't match what's in your portfolio. They'll start to see that something's up, and then they'll look into it and they'll see that you stole everything. So you definitely don't want to do that. Make sure that it's things that you could draw. You'll be drawing a lot as an apprentice, and you'll be learning a lot. So don't worry if you don't think your portfolio is good enough. Just focus on just making sure that you drew it yourself. Another nice tip would be, if you do use reference, give credit to the artist that did the original piece. For example, if you did like an old school American traditional tattoo flash by Sailor Jerry, just make sure that you give credit to him and say that this was me using reference by Sailor Jerry, because that also shows that you respect tattooing tradition, and you know about the history of tattooing. A lot of people like that, the fact that those people that came before you and the people who paved the way for us to just make it even possible for me to be talking about this right now. Be mindful that those artists did a lot for us, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even be making this video talking to you guys about getting into a shop yourselves. So just make sure that everybody knows that, and if you do use a reference, just put that in there and let them know. Okay, so these are the 2 portfolios I took with me. They got me hired at the shop I just got hired at. This is 11 by 17 portfolio that just has prints in it. So I don't really take this to shops, but I could if I wanted to. I just don't. It's just got, prints and stuff. This is really what shops want to see here. So this is what I usually take with me. And I also have an 18 by 24 portfolio that's not with me. Everything's at an art show right now. So whenever I get that back, I'll make another video on that. So this first one here just has a lot of like original designs, and then they're side by side with like pencil or outline, and then the color reference. So you'll see, and I'll just flip through this real quick, sorry. So it just basically shows like what it could look like and what I plan on doing with it, and then it has like, like pencil and then the color reference. So I did that for a ton of drawings. Just gives them like a good idea of like what I do, or like how I would color things and things like that, like how I lay things out. And then this one just has like a ton of old assignments whenever I was an apprentice at my last shop. So I was like pencil drawings and stuff, and this one's kind of weird because I was already an apprentice, so this was assignments from my apprenticeship. But if you guys look at this and build your portfolio sort of based off of this one, I think it'd be better because this has a good variation of a lot of things. So it has like pencil renderings, and then I have like some clean line art drawings, and I have just a couple portraits and things like that in here. So everything's not really super organized, but I mean, it's kind of whatever. I did some Friday the 13th flash when I worked at my last shop. So this is all that. And some more stuff. These are like some freehand brushstroke dragons. Then we get some color pencil drawings. And more color pencil drawings. Skulls and honey masks and traditional girls, and then just lettering. Like there's a ton of lettering, and then we got some portraits over here, or like some chicks. Kind of hard to see because the paper's all flimsy. Oh, and then back here, these are also old assignments, but I guess I can kind of show these. I got more lettering too, but these are like, I had to do this as an apprentice, like just draw them a shit ton of times. Like it just went on, and these are the only 2 that I could find, but I have so much more. So yeah, that's pretty much what my portfolio looked like, and it just got hired Tuesday. So that should give you like a good idea of what works. I would say that this portfolio is what everybody should be basing their stuff off of, just because this really has like a good variety of things, and everyone seems to like this portfolio better. It's got like a good amount of different style drawings, and not everything is like what I do. I guess I'll show this one. This just has like all my prints and fully rendered stuff, so I'll just flip through this real quick. I don't ever really show people this, but I mean, I have it with me because I do sell prints, and whenever I go places, like not to tattoo shops, I'd like to take this with me to sell artwork. If I'm going to like an arts festival or something, this is what I would take with me, but this isn't really built for shops. So yeah, hope that helps, guys.